Hello again. Once upon a time, journalists saw their job as reporting what was happening in the world as accurately as they could. It's true that different newspapers had different political slants, but this showed in editorials and opinion pieces rather than in the news stories themselves. This has all changed now, and journalists seem to imagine that their job is not merely to tell us what is going on in the world, but also to advise us how to feel about it. We see this with racism, of course, but most especially with the subject of transsexuals. Most of us understand that a trans woman is a male who wishes to be thought of and accepted as a woman rather than a man. This is a fact from which there is no escape. It remains the case whether you think this kind of thing acceptable, or if you are indifferent to it all, or even if you vehemently disapprove. A trans woman is somebody who was born with a male body. The odd thing is that this is only ever mentioned generally in newspapers and by reports on television when such a person is the victim of a crime. Take the case of Brianna Guy, who was a 16-year-old male who wished to be a girl. After the murder of Brianna, the BBC made sure that whenever the case was mentioned, the fact that Brianna Guy was a transsexual was emphasised. Even when Kyle Ratcliffe, the father of one of the teenagers who murdered Brianna Guy, was in court himself for something wholly unrelated to Brianna's death, the BBC report still managed to work in these words. The cold-blooded killing of Brianna, who was transgender, shocked people across the world. You get the idea, I hope. If a male to female transsexual is attacked or dies, then we are always without fail told that this was a transgender person. Now consider another case to which I give a link in the description to this video, that of Naomi O'Brien, described in the BBC piece as a predatory woman. No mention there of this person being transgender. This is a case in which this fellow was involved in sexual abuse of children, of course. These two pieces sum up a curious point, which is that newspapers and television channels are now deliberately withholding information about events which they report in order to shape our perceptions of the world. The idea is, of course, to portray transsexuals as victims of transphobia. This is to discourage anybody from questioning the wisdom of treating children with puberty blockers or surgery at the first available opportunity. The theory being pushed here is that if we do not allow children to transition, then they will either kill themselves or be picked on or even murdered by transphobic maniacs. This is why the transgender status of Brianna Guy was pushed so heavily. On the other hand, when male to female transsexuals abuse children, torture cats, or beat people to death, nobody must be told that these people are transsexuals, in case people have negative ideas about the subject. In these cases, the men concerned must simply be referred to as women, and the word transgender must not be used. I'm noticing this subtle editing of news stories a lot lately, in that only certain news stories are published, and these are written up by journalists to conform to a certain agreed narrative. It never used to be this way, and I find something faintly sinister about it.